Alex Robles here to present my self-portrait for M6. After taking the motivational analysis quiz, my primary motivator is achievement. I scored a 5 for achievement, 2 for power influence, and 3 for affiliation. According to McClelland's social motivators, those whose primary motivator is achievement have a desire for excellence, want to do a good job, and need a sense of accomplishment, want to advance, and desire feedback. Compared to the other motivators of affiliation and power influence, I agree that achievement would be my primary motivator during the workday. I do enjoy having tangible goals and working towards achieving them in a concrete way. My job is largely based around meeting a financial quota. It is what I am primarily evaluated in terms of my work performance. I like having clarity at work in terms of how I am evaluated in this way. A performance is quantifiable. It is interesting looking at the other characteristics of the achiever the document outlines. I agree that I do enjoy receiving rapid feedback and having a checklist. I also struggle with delegating at times, which is one of the struggles mentioned. The textbook, Organizational Behavior, also further describes McClelland's need for achievement. The textbook notes that those high in need for achievement enjoy doing things themselves and may find it difficult to delegate any meaningful authority to their subordinates. This is something I find myself struggling with, as I do tend to do things on my own rather than delegating to my assistant. The textbook also notes that they are particularly suited to positions such as sales, where there are explicit goals, feedback is immediately available, and their effort often leads to success. This is more or less spot on, as that is the field that I work in. At my recent work experience, I would categorize the primary motivator to also be achievement. My work inherently is a very achievement-based business. Many of us are heavily evaluated by our numbers, so there is a natural motivation for one to want to hit these numbers in order to keep our jobs, for one. It is interesting to also look at motivation through the Harvard Business Review article, Employee Motivation, which describes the 4 drives underlying motivation. The article describes the drive to acquire, that we are all driven to acquire scarce goods that bolster our sense of well-being. We experience delight when this drive is fulfilled, discontentment when it is thwarted. This seems to relate to the work that I do. While we are all driven to acquire the scarce good of money, we're also driven to push our deals through and get them done. My job involves making sales in which there is competition for our products, so there really is a sense of scarcity in the marketplace. It is not a sure thing by which the deals go through. I believe my colleagues truly enjoy the thrill of winning a deal and also the discontentment of losing one. When thinking about specific clues that led to make this inference, there are many. There is the fact that colleagues and I have discussed the joy of making a deal. There's also the aftermath of celebrating a deal with clients and colleagues. Work performance put in terms of quantifiable achievements are very openly talked about in my company amongst my colleagues. It is not unusual for someone to openly discuss their past, current, and future achievements in the context of work. The primary motivator that drives my boss is likely achievement as well. Our unit is clearly strongly judged by our numbers, so I imagine achieving these numbers would be a primary driver. The Organizational Behavior textbook notes that when a salesperson is promoted to be a sales manager, the job description changes from actively selling to recruiting, motivating, and training salespeople. That is a situation my boss is in, as he used to be a salesperson and has since moved into a manager role. While there are recruiting, motivating, and training aspects of being a manager, our office is still judged as a whole by our numbers, so I think the manager role would still be appealing to one with achievement as a primary motivator. Comparing and contrasting myself, my coworkers, and my boss, it is not surprising to me that I would classify us all as having achievement as our primary motivator. We are all working in the same profession with the same shared goals of the company, so it is natural that our motivations would be more or less the same. I will say that I think we all work well together, so perhaps the notion that those with the need for achievement work better by themselves may be a myth. When looking at all 3 entities, I think a big similarity is that we all enjoy chasing deals and the satisfaction that comes with it. We all seem to enjoy seeing quantifiable and tangible results in our work. It is interesting to listen to what the TED Talk speaker Dan Pink described as a results-only work environment, where people don't have schedules, show up when they want, and don't have to be in the office at a certain time or any time. They are rather judged only by their work output. While what Pink mentions He describes very positive results across the board. I wonder how that would fare with myself and my colleagues. I wonder if we would encounter the same overall success as what Pink describes. I wonder if the ups and downs would be as pronounced and work be as exciting if there was less structure. Perhaps we would work more in a silo as a result. That is a question for another day. While all of these entities work differently, we all seem to be primarily motivated by achievement.